The struggles of a young dreamer. Introduction to the village of Itara. The village of Itara was a small, peaceful place nestled between rolling hills. It wasn't the kind of village you'd find in textbooks, but it had its own quiet charm. People in Itara lived simple, hardworking lives, farming the land and raising livestock. The villagers took pride in their work, whether it was cultivating the rich soil or crafting handwoven baskets and textiles. Life in Itara wasn't easy, but it was fulfilling. Everyone knew each other, and the sense of community ran deep. But for Amora, the village, though full of warmth, often felt like a place where she didn't quite belong. Main character, Amora. Amora was a young girl, full of dreams, but often feeling like she was chasing them alone. In a village where appearances mattered and academic achievement was highly valued, Amora couldn't help but feel that she was falling short. Her siblings were what you might call the golden children, beautiful, smart, and adored by everyone around them. Her eldest brother was the top of his class, a brilliant student who had a way with numbers, while her younger sister was known for her striking beauty and charm, the pride of the family. They seemed to excel in everything they did, and the villagers always admired them for their accomplishments. Amora, however, was different. She wasn't as attractive as her sister, and her grades were always at the bottom of the class. While her peers excelled in everything, Amora struggled to keep up. In the classroom, her teachers would often shake their heads in disappointment as she struggled with even the simplest lessons. She found it hard to focus, and the words in her textbooks seemed to jumble together. Her classmates, though never openly cruel, often whispered behind her back, calling her names like slow and dull. Challenges at home. At home, things weren't much different. Her parents, hardworking as they were, placed immense pressure on Amora to live up to their high expectations. They had dreams of seeing their children succeed and make something of themselves. Her father, a stern man who believed in discipline above all, would often speak of the importance of education, hoping that one of his children would carry the family's name far beyond Itara. Her mother, though loving, would frequently compare Amora to her siblings, pointing out how much better they were doing in school and in life. "Why can't you be like your brother?" her father would ask in frustration when Amora failed a test. "Your sister knows how to behave like a young lady. Why can't you show some grace?" her mother would chide. The constant comparisons made Amora feel invisible, like she was living in the shadows of her more successful siblings. She felt as though no matter how hard she tried, she would never be able to live up to their expectations. And with each passing day, the pressure seemed to grow heavier. Amora's self-doubt. As Amora sat alone in her room at night, the weight of her family's expectations crushed her. She often stared at the small desk in the corner of her room, cluttered with textbooks and notebooks, none of which seemed to make sense to her. She would listen to her siblings' laughter in the next room as they talked about their good grades and achievements. It made her feel like she was drowning in a sea of failure. She questioned herself constantly, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I be like them?" The doubts crept in like a dark cloud, covering everything she once loved. She no longer felt the excitement she once had for school, for she believed that no matter how hard she tried, she would always come last. It wasn't just in school. Amora felt like a failure in every part of her life. While her siblings were loved and admired by everyone, she was mostly ignored. Amora would often lie awake at night, staring up at the ceiling, wondering if she would ever make her family proud. She longed for the day when her parents would look at her and see the potential that they seemed to see in her siblings. But deep down, she feared that day would never come. She was consumed with self-doubt, questioning her worth and whether she would ever be anything more than the invisible daughter in her family. The constant feeling of not measuring up made Amora wonder if she would ever find a way to be seen, to prove that she was capable of something greater. At the same time, a quiet voice inside her whispered that she might just be on the verge of discovering her own path, a path that didn't have to be defined by grades or comparisons. But in that moment, Amora was too lost in her own insecurities to hear it. A new friend, a new hope. Amora's friendship with Zay. It was a warm afternoon when Zay first arrived in Itara. She was different from everyone else in the village. With her bright eyes, radiant smile, and confident demeanor, Zay stood out instantly. She had recently moved to the village with her parents, and though she was new, she seemed to carry an aura of grace that made others gravitate toward her. It wasn't just her beauty that captured attention. Zoe was intelligent and articulate, a natural leader who could hold her own in any conversation. On her first day at the village school, Zoe quickly became the center of attention. The other girls flocked around her, hoping to become her friend, while the boys admired her from afar. But amidst the crowd, Zoe's eyes fell on Amora, sitting quietly by herself at the back of the classroom, as she usually did. Zoe noticed something in Amora that the others didn't. While the other students whispered and laughed among themselves, Zoe saw a different side to Amora. During break time, Zoe approached Amora and asked, "Would you like to sit with me?" Amora, though taken aback by the offer, smiled shyly and nodded. As they sat together, Zoe learned that Amora didn't quite fit in with the others. She wasn't as academically gifted as the others, and her self-esteem was fragile. But Zoe didn't judge her. Instead, she admired Amora's kind nature and the way she treated others with respect. Zoe made it clear that she didn't care about grades or popularity. She valued Amora's humility and good heart. Over time, their friendship blossomed. Zoe became Amora's rock, supporting her through the ups and downs of school life. When the other students teased Amora for her poor grades, Zoe would always stand by her side, telling her not to listen to the negativity. A heart-to-heart conversation. One day, after school, Amora and Zoe walked home together. Amora's shoulders slumped as they approached the village, her mind still weighed down by the latest exam results that had disappointed her parents once again. Why does it seem like no matter how hard I try, I can never make them proud? Amora asked, her voice filled with frustration and doubt. Zoe smiled gently and stopped walking for a moment. She turned to face Amora and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Amora, you're so much more than the grades you get. I know school can be tough for you, but that doesn't define who you are." Amora looked at her in confusion. "But my parents, they want me to be like my siblings. They say I'm not trying hard enough." Zoe's gaze softened. "Your parents are just focused on the wrong thing. They are measuring your worth by something that isn't the only thing that matters in life. You're kind, creative, and strong. Those qualities don't come with a score on a test, but they are what will make you successful." Amora let out a sigh, the weight on her heart easing just a little. Zoe continued, "Success isn't about grades or being perfect. It's about finding what you're passionate about and giving it everything you've got. You have something special, Amora. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise." For the first time in a long while, Amora felt a spark of hope. Zoe's words resonated with her, and though she had always known deep down that she had a different path, hearing it from Zoe made her believe that it was possible. She didn't need to be like her siblings. She didn't need to be like anyone else. She could create her own path. Amora's resolve. That night, as Amora lay in bed, Zoe's words echoed in her mind. She could feel her heart stirring with a new sense of purpose. What if there was something else she could do, something that would make her happy and allow her to stand out in her own way? She had always been fascinated by the art of jewelry making. Her grandmother had taught her how to make simple beaded necklaces when she was younger, and Amora had loved it. The way the beads came together to form something beautiful seemed magical to her. She thought about it for hours, and by the time the morning sun peeked through her window, she had made up her mind. She wasn't going to give up on school, but she was going to pursue something she was passionate about, creating beautiful handcrafted jewelry. Amora knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to try. The plan. The next day, Amora sat down with her parents at the dinner table. Her heart pounded in her chest as she prepared to share her dream with them. Her mother and father sat across from her, looking up from their plates as she began to speak. "Papa, Mama," Amora began, her voice trembling slightly, "I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do with my life. I know I'm not doing well in school, but I've always had a love for making jewelry. I want to learn how to make beautiful, handmade pieces, and maybe one day, I could turn it into a business." Her parents exchanged glances, their faces showing concern. Her father, always practical and stern, was the first to speak. "Amora, your education is what matters most. You need to focus on your studies. Your siblings are doing well, and we expect the same from you." Amora's heart sank. She had hoped they would understand, but their response was what she had feared. Her mother, though more sympathetic, added, "Maybe when you've done better in school, you can think about hobbies. Right now, your focus needs to be on your future." Amora's shoulders slumped, but she didn't give up. She had spent too long waiting for someone else to believe in her. She had Zoe's support, and that was enough. Amora smiled, though her eyes were full of determination. "I understand, but I will still try. I will make it work." Despite her parents' dismissive reaction, Amora knew she couldn't let go of her dream. It was hers, and no one could take it away. She would find a way to pursue it, no matter what. She was determined to prove that there was more to her than what anyone else saw: hard work and sacrifices. Amora's secret job. Amora knew that if she was going to make her dream of jewelry making come true, she would have to take matters into her own hands. Since her parents were unsupportive of her passion, she decided to keep it a secret. Every afternoon after school, while other students were heading home to their books and families, Amora walked to the local market. There, she offered to help the vendors carry their goods to their homes. At first, the market women didn't take her seriously. But Amora's gentle nature, combined with her willingness to work hard, quickly earned her their respect. They were impressed by her humility, and before long, she became a regular face in the market, always ready to help. Some of the vendors, noticing her interest in handmade crafts, started to teach her about the art of jewelry making. One vendor, Mama Titi, had been making jewelry for years, crafting beautiful bracelets, necklaces, and earrings from beads and natural materials. Mama Titi saw the spark of creativity in Amora's eyes and took her under her wing. "I've been watching you, girl," Mama Titi said one day as Amora helped carry a basket of fruits to the vendor's home. "You've got an eye for beauty. Why don't you learn how to make jewelry? I can teach you." Amora's heart skipped a beat. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. She eagerly accepted, and Mama Titi taught her how to weave intricate patterns, string beads together, and turn simple materials into works of art. Every day after helping in the market, Amora would sit with Mama Titi, learning the delicate craft and absorbing every lesson with excitement. The hours flew by as she honed her skills, determined to one day create her own collection of jewelry. Amora's savings. With each passing day, Amora grew more skilled in the art of jewelry making. But she knew that she needed the right materials to truly start creating her own pieces. Beads, wire, clasps, the materials were expensive, and Amora's family would never give her money for something they didn't see as important. So, Amora made a plan. She would save every coin she earned from helping in the market. Every time she helped a vendor, they would give her a small payment, sometimes in coins, sometimes in kind. She didn't care what she received, it all went into her small tin box, which she kept hidden in her room. The box was becoming fuller and fuller with each passing month, and though it seemed like a small amount compared to what she needed, Amora felt proud. Every time she put a coin into the box, it felt like a step closer to her dream. Her friends in the market often noticed the spark of determination in her eyes. Some would tease her about the tin box, asking if she was planning to buy a new dress or a fancy pair of shoes. Amora would smile and say, "No, I'm saving for something much bigger than that. I'm saving to make something beautiful." Confrontation with parents. One afternoon, as Amora returned home after a long day of work, she was met with a surprise. Her father had come home early from his daily errands, and he looked unusually stern. He was holding the small tin box in his hands, his eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Amora, what is this?" he asked, his voice low. Amora's heart raced. She hadn't expected her secret to be discovered so soon. She had tried so hard to keep it hidden, but now her father had found the box where she had been saving her money. I was saving for something, Papa," she stammered, feeling a wave of anxiety wash over her. "What could you possibly be saving for?" her father demanded. "You can't even keep up with your schoolwork, and now you're wasting your time on this nonsense." He opened the box, spilling the coins onto the table. "This is foolishness, Amora. You should be focused on your future, not playing with beads." Amora felt the sting of his words. Her mother stood behind her father, her face filled with concern but unwilling to speak up. Amora's heart felt heavy, and for a moment, she wondered if she was wrong, if she was truly wasting her time. But as her father's angry words echoed in her ears, something inside her snapped. She had worked too hard and come too far to give up now. Her dream was hers to pursue, and no one could take it away from her. "I'm not wasting my time, Papa," Amora said, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "I'm learning to create something beautiful. This is my passion, and I won't let anyone tell me it doesn't matter." Her father's face turned red with anger. "You'll never amount to anything if you keep going down this path," he said, his voice harsh. "You are disappointing me." Amora's breath caught in her throat, but she didn't back down. "Maybe I won't be what you want me to be, but I will be something. I will make my dreams come true, Papa. I'm not giving up." Her father slammed the box down on the table. "If this is your idea of success, then you can forget about this family. Go, follow your foolish dreams." With that, he turned and stormed out of the room. Amora's mother watched silently, not knowing what to say. A moment of doubt. As the door slammed behind her father, Amora's shoulders sagged. She stared at the scattered coins on the table, her heart aching. The weight of her father's words pressed on her chest, and for a moment, she wondered if he was right. Maybe she was wasting her time. Maybe her dream would never be enough. Tears welled up in Amora's eyes, but she wiped them away quickly, refusing to let the sadness consume her. She had promised herself she would not give up. She remembered Zoe's words, "Success isn't about grades or being perfect. It's about finding what you're passionate about." Amora took a deep breath, and the fire of her determination reignited within her. She couldn't let anyone define her path. Not her father. Not her teachers. She would prove to herself that she could create something beautiful, something that would make her proud. She picked up the tin box from the table and carefully placed the coins back inside. This was just a setback. It wasn't the end of her journey. She would keep saving. She would keep working. And one day, she would show her parents that her dreams were worth fighting for. Turning point. The unexpected mentor. Amora's determination never wavered. Even after the confrontation with her parents, she continued to save her earnings and work tirelessly on her jewelry. However, she knew that if she truly wanted to turn her dream into a reality, she needed guidance. She couldn't do it alone forever. One day, as she was walking at the market, a woman with an air of elegance and confidence approached her. The woman's name was Mama Fola, and she was known throughout the village as one of the most successful jewelry makers in the region. Her pieces were admired for their intricate designs and beauty, and many people traveled from neighboring towns just to buy them. Mama Fola had heard whispers about Amora's talent and had seen her working hard at the market for months. One afternoon, as Amora was helping a vendor, Mama Fola approached her with a smile. "You have an eye for beauty, my dear," Mama Fola said. "I've been watching you, and I can tell you have the potential to create something extraordinary. Why don't you come and learn from me?" Amora's heart leapt in her chest. She could hardly believe it. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. "You would teach me?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. Mama Fola nodded. "I see the passion in your work, and I think you have the raw talent to take it further. But talent alone isn't enough. You need to learn the craft, the tradition, and the techniques that make jewelry truly special." Amora couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had dreamed of being mentored by someone like Mama Fola, but now that the opportunity was right in front of her, she could hardly contain her excitement. "Yes, please. I would love to learn from you," Amora replied eagerly. Learning and growth. Under Mama Fola's watchful eye, Amora's skills blossomed. Mama Fola taught her everything from the basics of jewelry making to advanced techniques. Amora learned how to weave beads into beautiful patterns, create intricate wire designs, and use local materials like stones, wood, and shells to add depth and character to her pieces. Mama Fola not only taught her the technical aspects of the craft, but also shared stories about the cultural significance behind the designs, how each piece of jewelry told a story, celebrated heritage, or represented a part of one's identity. Amora was a quick learner, and her creativity flourished under Mama Fola's guidance. Each day, Amora created new pieces of jewelry, experimenting with different materials and designs. She poured her heart into every necklace, bracelet, and ring she made, using her creations as an outlet for her emotions, her dreams, and her love for her culture. As the months passed, Amora's style began to evolve. Her jewelry was not just beautiful, it told a story, and her story. She drew inspiration from her village, from the traditions of her people, and from her own experiences. Amora's work became unique, filled with the colors, patterns, and symbols that represented her heritage. People who saw her pieces were drawn to them, mesmerized by the delicate craftsmanship and the depth of meaning behind each design. Rising recognition. As Amora's jewelry collection grew, word began to spread throughout the village and beyond. People who had once ignored her now admired her work. She began to receive orders from local customers who had seen her creations at the market or heard about her talent. Soon, even people from neighboring villages came to see what Amora had to offer. At first, Amora sold her pieces at the market, but as demand grew, she realized that she needed to expand. She opened a small shop in the center of the village, displaying her jewelry for all to see. The shop was simple, with wooden shelves showcasing her beautifully crafted necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. It wasn't long before the shop became a local hotspot, with people flocking from all over to buy Amora's creations. Amora's work was not just a success in the market, it became a symbol of pride for the village. Her jewelry represented a blend of tradition and innovation, honoring the past while looking toward the future. The villagers took pride in her accomplishments, and soon, even the most skeptical of her neighbors began to appreciate the value of what she was doing. Amora had proven that hard work, dedication, and passion could lead to success, even if it didn't look the way others had expected. A family rethinks its views. As Amora's success continued to grow, it began to shift the way her family viewed her. Her parents, who had once dismissed her dream of becoming a jewelry maker, began to see the depth of her dedication. At first, they had refused to believe that Amora's passion for jewelry making could lead to anything meaningful. But as they watched her business thrive, they couldn't ignore the impact she was making. One day, Amora's father visited her shop. He walked through the door hesitantly, his face still hardened by years of expectations, but there was a new curiosity in his eyes. Amora looked up from the table where she was carefully polishing a necklace and smiled at him. "Papa," she said softly, "I'm glad you're here." Her father looked around at the rows of jewelry, each piece carefully crafted, each telling its own story. He didn't say anything at first, but his gaze softened as he saw the pride in Amora's eyes. "You've done well, Amora," he said quietly, his voice filled with a mix of admiration and surprise. "I never understood your dream. But now, I see it. You've worked hard, and you've created something beautiful." Amora's heart swelled with emotion. For the first time, she felt like her father truly saw her, not as a failure or a disappointment, but as a person who had found her own path and succeeded on her own terms. Her mother, too, came to the shop, bringing her siblings along. They walked around the display, admiring Amora's work. Her mother smiled at her and said, "I didn't understand, but now I see how much this means to you. I'm proud of you, Amora." Amora felt a warmth spread through her chest as she looked at her family. For the first time, they saw her not just as their daughter, but as a person who had achieved something meaningful. Her success had changed the way they viewed her, and in doing so, it had changed the way they viewed success itself. It wasn't always about grades or conformity. Sometimes, success came from following your heart and staying true to your passions. Success and betrayal. Amora's jewelry business. With her hard-earned savings and the skills she had perfected under Mama Fola's guidance, Amora made a bold decision. She was ready to take her jewelry business to the next level. She had been successful in her small village, but she knew that in order to truly realize her dream, she needed to expand. Amora packed her belongings, took a deep breath, and moved to the city, where opportunities were endless. There, she opened a charming jewelry shop, decorated with elegant displays of her handcrafted creations. The shop was small but cozy, and it quickly became known for its unique and beautiful designs. People from all walks of life, from wealthy business owners to travelers passing through, began to visit Amora's shop. Her work, once seen as a simple hobby, was now a source of inspiration for many. Amora's jewelry, a blend of tradition and contemporary elegance, captivated everyone who walked through her doors. Her designs were rich in culture and creativity, telling stories with every bead, every thread, and every stone. She soon became one of the most sought-after jewelry makers in the city, and the steady stream of customers showed that her reputation was spreading far beyond the local market. Amora's business continued to grow. She hired apprentices to help her fulfill the increasing number of orders and started to expand her product line. The money she made was enough to start building her own brand, a name that represented hard work, passion, and a love for creativity. She had proven that dreams, no matter how small or unconventional, could become a reality with enough perseverance. Envy and betrayal. However, not everyone in Amora's life was happy with her success. Mama Fola, her former mentor, who had once nurtured Amora's talent and taught her the art of jewelry making, began to feel threatened by her young protege's achievements. At first, she tried to hide her jealousy, but as Amora's reputation grew, Mama Fola's envy became impossible to ignore. One day, Mama Fola came to Amora's shop. She looked around, her gaze cold and calculating. Amora smiled warmly at her and invited her to sit down, but there was a tension in the air that Amora couldn't quite place. "Your work has certainly improved, Amora," Mama Fola said, her voice tight. "But I can't help but wonder if all of your designs are really your own." Amora's smile faded slightly. "Of course they are, Mama Fola. I've always created my own designs, just like you taught me." Mama Fola's eyes narrowed. "I know your work well. You've taken elements from my designs. You've stolen from me, Amora." Amora's heart dropped. She had never intended to copy Mama Foller's work. All she had ever wanted was to create her own style, inspired by her heritage and her journey. But Mama Foller was determined to see things differently. Amora tried to explain, but Mama Foller wasn't listening. "You've betrayed me. All this time, I've been helping you, and now you've used my techniques to make yourself famous. I'll make sure the world knows what you've done." With those words, Mama Foller stormed out of the shop, slamming the door behind her. Amora stood there, stunned and heartbroken. The woman who had once mentored her, who had helped her build her craft, now accused her of stealing and betrayal. The pain of the accusation was sharp, and Amora felt a wave of confusion wash over her. She never meant to hurt Mama Foller, but now, it seemed there was no turning back. Amora's strength. In the days that followed, Amora's shop was filled with whispers and rumors. Some customers, influenced by Mama Foller's words, began to question Amora's authenticity. The accusations weighed heavily on her heart, and for a moment, Amora wondered if it would all come crashing down. Was her success built on a lie? Had she truly stolen from Mama Foller? But deep down, Amora knew the truth. She had worked tirelessly, pouring her soul into every piece she made. She had not copied anyone. Her designs were hers, unique, original, and a reflection of her own vision. Amora took a deep breath and decided that she would not let Mama Foller's jealousy destroy everything she had worked for. She gathered herself and focused on what mattered most: her craft, her passion, and her customers. She continued to create, each piece a testament to her dedication and talent. Amora's jewelry was not just about beads and wire, it was about resilience, strength, and the beauty that comes from following your heart. In time, Amora's customers began to see the truth. Her pieces spoke for themselves. People who had once doubted her returned, praising her work even more than before. The rumors from Mama Foller's accusations slowly faded away as Amora's creations continued to shine. The return of Zoe. Amora's strength and resolve did not go unnoticed by her true friends. One day, as Amora was walking in her shop, the door opened, and in walked Zoe, her old friend from Itara. Zoe had been living in a nearby city, studying, and had heard about the challenges Amora was facing. When she walked in, Amora's face lit up with joy. "Zoe!" Amora exclaimed, rushing to hug her. "What are you doing here?" Zoe smiled, her eyes warm with understanding. "I heard what happened, and I wanted to see you. You've been through so much, Amora. I know it hasn't been easy, but I want you to know that you've got this. Your success is yours. No one can take that away from you." Amora felt a wave of relief wash over her. Zoe's words were a balm to the wounds that had been opened by Mama Foller's betrayal. Zoe continued, "You've always had this fire in you. Don't let anyone, not even someone who once mentored you, make you doubt your worth." With Zoe's support, Amora regained her confidence. Zoe reminded her that her journey was hers alone. No one could define it for her. No one could take away the hard work she had put in or the creativity she had poured into her craft. Amora smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She would continue her work, and she would do it for herself. Her journey wasn't just about success, it was about staying true to who she was and honoring the path she had chosen: triumph and redemption. Amora's growth. Years passed, and Amora's jewelry business grew beyond what she had ever imagined. What had started as a small, humble shop in the city had evolved into a renowned brand, admired not only for its beautiful, handcrafted jewelry but for its unique cultural flair. Amora's designs had become a staple among the city's fashion-conscious crowd, and her reputation stretched far beyond the city limits. People from all over came to purchase her creations, and her brand was featured in magazines and fashion shows. As the business flourished, Amora's entrepreneurial spirit blossomed. She expanded her shop into a larger boutique, hired a team of talented designers and apprentices, and started offering jewelry-making workshops for aspiring artisans. Her creations were not just products, they were stories, reflections of her journey, and of the strength she had found through her struggles. Amora's success was not merely measured in money or popularity, but in the impact she had on others. She had built a brand that represented passion, resilience, and authenticity, and it had made her a household name in the world of fashion and entrepreneurship. Yet, despite her growing fame and success, she remained humble and grounded, always remembering the journey that had brought her here. The return of family. One day, Amora was at her boutique, overseeing her new collection when the door opened, and to her surprise, her family walked in. Her parents, once so critical of her dreams, stood there, looking somewhat out of place in the trendy, bustling shop. Along with them were her siblings, who had once mocked her for her lack of academic success. They were all staring wide-eyed at the polished display of jewelry, their expressions a mix of awe and disbelief. Amora, her father's voice cracked, as he looked at her, trying to comprehend the success that stood before him. "Is it really you?" Amora looked at them, a smile slowly spreading across her face. For a moment, she stood still, unsure of how to react. This was the family who had once torn her down, who had dismissed her dreams. But now, they were here, standing in her world, amazed by what she had built. Her mother stepped forward, her face softened with regret. "We didn't understand, Amora. We were wrong. You have done something incredible. We never believed in your dream, but now we see what you've achieved." Amora's heart ached, not with anger, but with a strange sense of reconciliation. She had spent years trying to prove herself, and now, her family was here, acknowledging her success. Her siblings, who once ridiculed her for her poor grades, were now looking at her with admiration. "Amora, we are sorry," her older brother said, his voice sincere. "We didn't believe in you. But seeing you now, it's clear that you've made something amazing out of nothing. We've failed to find work despite our degrees. Can you help us?" Amora's heart softened as she looked at them. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined her. She had moved beyond the hurt and anger. Now, she had the power to help, to offer them the opportunity they had once denied her. Forgiveness and healing. Without hesitation, Amora took a deep breath and said, "I forgive you. We all have our own paths, and mine was different. But it's okay. I've learned that life isn't always about what we are taught in school. It's about finding our own purpose." She smiled at her family, offering them a chance for a new beginning. Amora didn't hold grudges. She had worked hard to get to where she was, and now that she was successful, she knew that her healing was not complete without forgiving those who had hurt her. "I can help you all," Amora continued. "Let's sit down and figure out how we can turn things around together. You can start working with me in the shop, or I can help you find other opportunities. You all have so much potential, and I want to help you unlock it." Amora's willingness to forgive and help her family left them speechless. They had never expected such generosity after all they had done to her. Amora had grown beyond their expectations, and she was now giving them the chance to start fresh. A new beginning. Amora's success didn't just change her life, it changed the lives of many others, including her family. As she offered them opportunities to work alongside her, she also began giving back to her community. Amora started a foundation focused on empowering young people who, like her, didn't fit into the mold of academic success but had a passion and talent for something else. She organized training programs, workshops, and mentorship sessions for young artisans in Itora and nearby villages, helping them learn skills in jewelry making, craftwork, and design. Amora knew from her own experience that everyone had potential, and success didn't come only from grades and degrees. It came from hard work, persistence, and believing in oneself. She provided scholarships to talented young people who needed financial assistance to pursue their dreams and opened doors for them to succeed. Amora's shop became a place of learning and growth, where aspiring artisans could practice, learn, and one day run their own businesses. In time, Amora's impact on her community grew far beyond her jewelry. She had given others the chance to find their own voices, their own passions, and their own success. Through her generosity, she not only created a brand but a movement that encouraged young people to follow their dreams, regardless of their academic struggles or what others thought of them. Amora had come full circle. The girl who had once been overlooked, who had struggled to prove herself, had now become a symbol of hope and strength for others. And her story had only just begun.